Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, the pointing of political fingers continues as the immigration minister says the former administration is to blame for the growth in shantytowns. Plus, after almost a year of the red flag on NIB being waved, there is still no decision on the way forward to prevent the depletion of the board's fund. And the return of the Wine and Arts Festival. Bahamians are excited for its return. The details straight ahead. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Jamila Mizik. Topping news tonight, Immigration Minister Keith Bell placing responsibility for the growth of an Abaco shantytown at the feet of the former Minister administration. A recent immigration operation on that island revealing the farm shantytown grew by an estimated 200 acres since Hurricane Dorian. Bell is questioning how the expansion happened under the former administration.
The former administration, in my view, ought to give an account for what happened between that period. Why is it that adequate housing, etc., was not provided for, and why was that area allowed to expand in such significant proportions overnight?
Bell's comments followed those of former Immigration Minister Brent Simonet, who suggested a clampdown on work permits to curb the influx of migrants. Simonet also questioned how the farm shantytown was allowed to grow and no one noticed. Now faced with the issue, Bell says it will take a multi-government approach.
Therefore, we are now seeking to ensure collectively, that is the Department of Immigration, the Ministry of National Security, the Ministry of Works, Social Services, and of course housing, that we all work collectively to address the myriad of problems that are in there. I would only invite the Bahamian people to look at the entire picture and recognize the fact that those areas do not only consist of irregular migrants. There are Bahamians living in these areas, and so when we come up, it is a complex problem, and when we come up with an answer or seek to address it, it has to be holistic.
Nearly 1 year after an actuarial review called for immediate action and a rate increase for the National Insurance Board, State Minister responsible Miles Larota says no decision has been made yet.
The situation is fluid. We have discussed the report in its entirety. No decision has been made yet on which part, if any, we're going to act at this time.
The review recommended an increase in rate contributions on July 1st, 2022, followed by an increase every 2 years until 2026. The review explained that if that does not happen, there is a risk of the fund depleting. Speaking ahead of Tuesday's cabinet meeting, Larota says there's no need for concern.
This is going to be impactful for businesses and for individuals. Like I said, we've looked at all of the variables that we're looking at, including the income of the board, including the outlays, what is being spent on prescription and other things. And I guess in the not too distant future, a decision would be made, and I would advise you once that is done.
Some good news in the country's digital space following the International Culture, Wine and Food Festival. COO and co-founder of Canoe Pays, Kamani Braithwaite, sharing some encouraging statistics from the festival. This year, organizers partnered with Canoe Pays and Sand Dollar to provide a cashless environment at the event. Braithwaite says there was a large usage of numbers by attendees, adding that while there were some challenges during the event, overall they believe the company's performance was a smashing success.
We welcome challenges. We are a proud nationalistic company. We are trying to export the Bahamas to the world. Canoe celebrates the fact that we were among the first to integrate CBDC, central bank digital currency, Sand Dollar, into our mobile wallet. We were the first to transact. We were fully interoperable so that any other AFI in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas was not handicapped at this event. And we see ourselves in a position where we are exporting the Bahamas to the world.
Wine and Art, the highlight of the Bahamas National Trust Annual Festival. The two-day event kicking off today, and attendees say not only is the event a great way to support a good cause, but they get to enjoy two of their favorite things, wine and art. Wealth Brewery is a major part of this year's Wine and Art Festival. Commercial manager at 700 Wines and Spirits, Janice Stubbs, says the company is pleased to partner with the Bahamas National Trust, not only to support the worthy cause, but to promote some of the many wines in store.
We actually are featuring 62 wines here today, and those wines that people taste here today, they're going to be able to go to any one of our 700 Wines and Spirits locations in New Providence and be able to pick them up at a discount of up to 20% off, and so they'll be able to get those wines at a great price.
Artist Toby Lunn is no stranger to the festival and says he's happy to be back.
I show a lot in galleries, but because it's in this lovely grounds, I get to see just a different sort of clientele, so I always like it. And like I said, this is my 15th year, so pretty happy to be back, especially after it being closed for 2 years. So it's really, really good to be back. I mean, I have a pretty wide mixture of things. A lot of it, the blue one's obviously inspired by the ocean and the water, but then we have a sort of a Junkanoo-ish type art and just very elusive, free expression. I don't really have one set genre anymore. So, and especially, like I said, I've been doing this my 15th year here, and so I have a real wide mixture of things every time I show up.
Artist Jonathan Bethel has been participating in the festival for about 20 years now and shares why he keeps on coming back.
It's just such a great event to find new customers, new clientele, and just mingle with people and have a good time. You know, it's helped to build my career over the 20 years to really expand.
Meanwhile, I caught up with festival attendees Alexandria Adderley and Chanel Minnis, who were enjoying the Champagne Lounge.
I love wine. Wine is something I'm actually very passionate about. I love learning about it, tasting different wines, and I love it.
I believe people should open up their horizons. Come and see the artwork. It's beautiful artwork right now. You could come out here and network with persons and experience. It's just a great experience.
Still to come on our News Weekend edition, the Downtown Freeport Business Association is asking for an extension on a special economic recovery zone. And U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi not only accuses Russia of war crimes, but says Putin's recent accelerated attack on Ukraine is a campaign of horror. The details on what Pelosi said are coming up when our News Weekend edition returns. Watching our news, welcome back. Downtown Freeport Business Association President Anton Brooks is asking for an extension on the Special Economic Recovery Zone SERS order. That order allowing for the continuation of duty-free and value-added tax-free importation of several items, including household furniture, hardware supplies, and building materials. Following Hurricane Dorian, the Minnesota administration established Special Economic Recovery Zones in the Abacos and Grand Bahama to provide businesses and homeowners in the areas impacted by the deadly Category 5 Hurricane Dorian with a number of tax breaks and concessions. The order is set to expire on December 1st.
To help Grand Bahama keep the momentum that it has, I think it's keeping shoppers at home, and we need shoppers to stay at home to keep our businesses afloat. And I would like to see the government extend the SERS order for another year or two.
U.S. House of Representatives Speaker Nancy Pelosi condemning Russia's actions in Ukraine and reaffirming America's support for Ukraine. Pelosi telling delegations attending the Crimea summit held in Croatia that President Vladimir Putin has launched a further campaign of horror. Pelosi, who visited the war-torn country earlier this year, has been a strong supporter of providing aid and military assistance to Ukraine since Russia invaded on February 24th. Here's what she said at the summit.
8 months into Russia's unprovoked, unjustified war against Ukraine, the deaths, displacements, and destruction continue. In the last 2 weeks alone, Putin has launched a further campaign of horror. unleashing swarms of drones against cities visible from the streets designed to terrify and to kill. The Congress condemns the actions of Iran in supplying these kamikaze drones. Putin is also targeting and destroying Ukraine's power stations, seeking to deprive Ukrainians of heat and power.
When our News Weekend edition comes back from the break, interest in trade industries and certifications at BTVI continuing to soar, and that's according to the institution's interim president. And RF Bank and Trust laid the foundation for a good financial roadmap during Investor Week. We have the details when our News Weekend edition returns. Welcome back. Scores of people from the South Beach constituency and wider community got up early this morning to participate in a fun run walk aimed at raising breast cancer awareness. Member of Parliament for the area, Bacchus Roll, was on hand for the event and spoke to our news about making the event a staple on the calendar, as well as the importance of continuing to educate people on breast cancer.
We'll keep it as a signature event for our constituency, no doubt. It's important that we continue to herald the remarks with regards to breast cancer and the importance of early detection during the annual mammogram. We know that if we are able to detect early, we can grade out the chances of repelling it. So this is the message that we want to proclaim from South Beach constituency.
The event, which featured health screenings and a cooking demonstration, was sponsored by the Cancer Treatment Centers of the Americas. Local Representative Letitia Morley spoke to us about why the decision was made to support the event and why Bahamians need to continue being aware of all cancers.
For Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we believe in giving back to community, and we thought this one was only fitting, seeing that it is Breast Cancer Month, and we want to also help with bringing awareness to Bahamians and our women to go out there and get tested and, just be aware of what's going on. We do know that the Bahamas and females in general have this BRCA gene testing, and most times when we catch it, it's at the end stage. So what we want to do is go out there, get testing, not only for breast cancer, like you said, for prostate cancer or any other type of cancer, just to be aware of what's going on and to be educated.
Interest in trade industries and certifications continuing to soar. This as interim president of the Bahamas Technical and Vocational Institute, Dr. Linda Davis, says enrollment numbers are the strongest they've ever been. The institution boasting of nearly 3,000 full-time students across the country. Dr. Davis says more campuses are in the pipeline.
We have a presence in North Andros. We are trying to reinitiate our presence in Exuma. Of course, Abaco is getting back up to speed, and we are exploring the possibility of having something in Long Island. And so our reach is deliberate. We are wanting to have a footprint in terms of a physical footprint, in addition to New Providence and Grand Bahama, both in Exuma and Abaco.
Established in 2014, the LJM Maritime Academy is fairly new, but President Dr. Brenda McClure says they are a hidden gem that is shining around the world. She says they've received applications from as far away as China, Brazil, Africa, Canada, and Europe. Dr. Claire is encouraging Bahamians to take advantage of the courses offered at the accredited institution.
We do have short courses for the STCW, standard training for certification of the watch. And those short courses can go anywhere from let's say PST, physical personal survival techniques training. We do firefighting, we do advanced medical, we can do management resource training, we do radar, we do global maritime distress signals. Persons can take these courses via modules, or they can come in and do actual programs. What we're finding now, we're having a lot of persons now coming to LJM looking for workers. We just don't have the students.
Making each dollar count is becoming more of a priority as inflation and rising food prices leave many Bahamians with sticker shock. During the recent Investor Week, RF Bank and Trust laid the foundation for a good financial roadmap. Here's Christina Dragovich.
Most Bahamians, in all honesty, every Bahamian probably has, at some point or another, had some experience with a fixed term deposit. That's probably the most popular investment product over here for Bahamians. They may not consider it an investment product, but it is.
Investing your money to work for you is becoming easier than ever. Between the various methods, Security Investment Advisor Dominic Stubbs says wherever you are financially, there's a starting point for everyone.
But a lot of people aren't as well versed in, as at least Bahamians are, that we also have access to the stock market through BizX. There's also, we also have access as well to fixed debt, to fixed income, which will be government bonds and sometimes other debt that is issued. But you also have access to mutual funds as well.
But concepts like mutual funds, stock exchanges, and risk profiles may seem foreign. If that's the case, Stubbs says there's a solution for that too.
We do have risk profile tests where you can take where to ask you specific questions, situational questions, and based on how you answer those, it'll obviously tally up points and it'll determine whether you're considered moderately aggressive or moderately conservative.
RF Bank and Trust and the Bahamas International Securities Exchange hosted a brunch and learn for World Investor Week 2022, spreading the message that investing is growing wealth and making your money work for you. But the first step is to get started.
There are different ways to get to specific goals via investing. It all depends on you specifically figuring out where it is that you want to go. And this is why it's so important to actually have an idea of what your goals are. Because at least once you have your goals, then you can come to a person like me, and then I'll be like, okay, here's how we can get to said goal.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Christina Dragovich.
Clear skies and cool breeze, perfect for our visitors. The weather report is coming up when Our News Weekend Edition returns. And join our Jean Joseph for the ultimate organ recital that's coming up in our arts and entertainment segment when Our News Weekend Edition comes back from the break. The weather is definitely cooling down, and although it's not exactly time yet, you can start dusting off those boots and pulling down the furs. Let's take a look at what's in store for us weather-wise over the next few days. Organ is often thought of as one of the darker instruments in classical music used in countless horror films. Think Phantom of the Opera. But one organist wants to show you the instrument's true colors. Join our Jean Joseph to hear more about the upcoming organ concert at Christ Church Cathedral.
While many associate the pipe organ sound with sinister figures and horror movies, it is a staple in religious work. You have a choice to experience the King of Instruments for yourself beginning at 6 p.m. this Sunday as Christ Church Cathedral welcomes the public to its first in-person concert since the pandemic. Christ Church's music department is partnering with the Nassau Music Society and Dr. Paul Jones, organist and composer, to feature various styles of music, all performed or accompanied by the organ.
So what we're doing in this concert, which is called Psalms, Hymns, and Classical Tunes, is involving a lot of people. For example, a mass choir that is comprised of the Highgrove Singers, the Cathedral Choir here, and the University of the Bahamas Concert Choir, under the direction, all of these groups, of Adrian Archer, who is the director of music here. And then we have some of my colleagues from UB, including Christine Gangelhoff, Christian Justilian, Yonel Justilian, Kathy Joel-Jockey, and Romel Shearer, the cellist, are all soloists, and they're soloists along with the organ.
The performance will also feature UB percussionist Zayvon Colebrook and UB brass players Daniel Saunders, Caleb Sayers, Tyreek King, and yours truly, Gene Joseph. Dr. Jones, who accompanies Christ Church's choir and heads the University of the Bahamas' Department of Performing Arts, will showcase some of his original compositions and arrangements and plans to give you a taste of the true power of the organ.
The organ at the church can do much more than just play for congregational singing. We're going to do some of that as well. But this concert involves the organ, which is the king of instruments, accompanying very quiet music, playing along with ceremonial brass and percussion, and also as a solo instrument.
Though the organ may not be everyone's cup of tea, Dr. Jones invites you to join him and take in the experience. He says you won't regret it.
Yes, it's this coming Sunday, October the 30th at 6 p.m. And you'll want to come early to get a good seat. I mean, there's something for everybody. There's music of all different eras and styles and types, and we think that people are really going to enjoy this. And I hope to have the entire church here filled with people.
You can purchase tickets at the door of Christ Church Cathedral at the cost of $20 for adults and $10 for students and children. We hope you get a chance to experience a different taste in music and support young musicians. Reporting for Our News, Arts and Entertainment, I'm Gene Joseph.
Great story, Gene. Thank you for joining us for Our News Weekend Edition. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Jamila Missick. Have a wonderful Saturday evening.